Like a meteor in the sky, Akiko flew across the city but still didn't see anything special. A day has passed since the rat demon body disappeared, and the Styx River ferryman has still not found the rat's soul. She stopped, thought for a moment and then went to the forest next to Niran Temple. Shin was always there, sitting with his back against the trunk of an old tree covered in lichen, looking towards the horizon. It's strange. Kaoru died but you remained calm, not frantic or angry like Hiroshi. Akiko sat on the oar, floated in midair, looking at Shin and commented. The response to the Styx ferryman's doubts was a friendly smile. Shin turned his eyes to the horizon, looked at the red sunset and explained, I've been with her for half my life, I'm familiar with her temperament, and I remember all the childish games she played, so it's not strange or worried when she disappeared from life. Kaoru said that death or life is just a game that changes the way of existence in the human world. Today we are separated, tomorrow we will meet again in another form. And I believe in that. Since the day Kaoru died, have you seen her soul? That depends on her. I'll just stay here and observe until the day I feel completely secure and then leave. Shin's eyes suddenly became distant. But that Hiroshi, it's so untrustworthy. Do you still hate him for killing you? A forced smile briefly appeared on Shin's face and then disappeared. Memories of Kaoru's desperate eyes suddenly returned when she learned that the final opponent was Hiroshi. The rat demon tried her best to plead and stop, but because the opponent was too strong and gave Shin too much excitement, he rushed into the fight like a moth to a flame. By the time the battle ended, Shin had lost Kaoru forever to the strongest opponent he had ever met when he was alive. Seeing the pensive look of regret on the face of the soul, the feeling of guilt made Akiko only gave him a few words of encouragement and then moved to another place, continued to investigate Kaoru's whereabouts but only receiving a shake of the head. Sitting on the branch of the cherry tree opposite Hiroshi's bedroom, every day witnessing the sight of the fox raising its cubs made Dango bored and returned to the demon world. Realizing himself had escaped his teammates' supervision, Hiroshi opened a secret passage, took Hyan and Haruka there, then quickly closed the door and went into the forest. As soon as Kaoru saw Hiroshi's silhouette flickering near the barrier, her figure carried a familiar warmth and swooped into the fox demon's arms as if it had been a long time since the last time she had seen him. I'm sorry for not being able to give you normal love. Kaoru's voice carried regret as if she was about to cry, causing a feeling of insecurity to strangle Hiroshi's heart. The fox demon tried to stay calm, gently stroking her wiry black hair that hung down her back and listening to Kaoru's confession as they sat next to each other. In this reincarnation, Kaoru cannot live too long in the human world. Her existence had caused too much disturbance in the regions of space and it was only a matter of time before the dead realm discovered her faking her death. To legalize her death, Kaoru was forced to leave and never return to this world. Are you going to leave now? Hiroshi tried to suppress a sigh after hearing all the sincere words. And the gentle shake of the head and the wind-like voice carried the worries in the fox demon heart far away. So gently, I will go soon, but not now. Then she bowed her head and confessed all her sins. I should have kept this feeling alone. It's selfish of me to force you to accept loving me and then hurt you like this. Idiot. Everything is my choice. The rat demon hugged the demon fox and burst into tears like a child. The image of Chiharu lying motionless on the sand with a deep cut on her neck appeared before the fox demon's eyes again. This time, the murderer of Higa's girlfriend appeared clearly, making the demon fox completely suffocated because he couldn't believe the truth. Like Hiroshi, Higa also did not dare to believe that the person who killed Chiharu to provoke the group of former Death Realm detectives was an old man wearing glasses. But there was no laughter after the information the fox had just provided. Each person has a different expression. Some are thoughtful, some are indifferent, some are worried. It seems they believe very much in the secrets discovered by Hiroshi. Other than that, did you get any other information? Higa asked with real seriousness. After Chiharu was killed, you were very angry and crazy about revenge. Hiroshi hesitated for a moment and then bluntly revealed all the information that he had exchanged with 400 years of spiritual power and his first love. But you lost. I and Dango avenged you but failed. We will also follow you. What about me? Tateyama pointed at his stupid face, wondering in a rather surprised voice. You're still alive. That's also why I wonder why the killer intentionally left you behind. Hiroshi answered and then suddenly fell silent when he realized he was about to reveal a more important secret. In order to avoid suspicion and change the fate-determined outcome, the fox proposed. Instead of sitting still and discussing things, we need to have countermeasures. This opponent is more terrifying than any we have ever encountered. So easy, Higa affirmed. He chose Chiharu as the key. I will protect her and not let him approach her. Dango smirked, his amber eyes clearly showing aggression instead of the countermeasures in his head. The fire demon is ready to confront and fight no matter how strong the enemy is. Tateyama and Hiroshi agreed to keep this secret, not revealing it to anyone, especially Akiko, Hina and Chiharu. The meeting between the former detectives ended in silence. Dango's evil eye followed Hiroshi's every step and slowly closed when he saw the fox returning home. Realizing that himself was being watched, the fox demon turned his head slightly, probed, and closed the door when he was completely reassured. The children hiding in the bookshelf jumped out, hugged Hiroshi's shoulders, and suddenly looked around searching. Their mother didn't come home with father, so Haruka thought they were angry at each other and burst into tears. Hyan tried to comfort his younger sister and then pulled his father's hair as if to ask about his mother. Apparently they both felt Kaoru's existence but couldn't express it in words. Hiroshi could only comfort the children with a piece of cake laced with a little anesthetic. At this moment, he did not want Kaoru's identity to be revealed, so he agreed to hurt the child. Looking at the children hugging each other sleeping after eating, Hiroshi suddenly remembered the sweet night-like honeymoon when he lived with Kaoru at the Ayame restaurant. During those days, because he was always immersed in happiness, Hiroshi did not foresee the situation of separation coming very close. The fox demon opened the secret drawer, took out the bottle of immortality medicine and the recipe to see. Kaoru's words of advice when they were in the forest suddenly returned. Must keep this carefully until the day Kaoru was ready to appear again. Busy thinking about the fox's meaningful words, Hiroshi did not expect Hyan to wake up and witness the entire process of the fox hiding the precious items. The clever boy closed his eyes, pretended to sleep and secretly approached the place where his father kept the elixir, checking every nook and cranny. At first glance, the place where the medicine is hidden looks exactly like a normal wall corner. Hyan looked carefully before finding the secret compartment opening. However, before he could touch it, another hand grabbed it. This kid is just like his father. Revealing it is theft. Dango looked at the miniature version of his teammate, sarcastically, then smiled mischievously. Because he is my child. The fox came out of the dressing room, happily affirming. You know the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. In the past, even if we held a knife to your neck, you still wouldn't reveal those secrets. Today you took the initiative to say everything. Was it your intention or was it suggested by Kaoru? Kaoru is dead. There's no use keeping those things. I just hope we can change that future. In human form, you could easily lose your life because of that gullibility. Dango threw the little thief to his teammates and jumped onto the cherry branch without forgetting to ask. When will that debt grow up? Whenever he wants. If you see him growing up, remember to tell me who my child resembles. Just like you. The fire demon smirked and quickly left the garden. Hyan secretly looked at his father and then looked at the place where the precious medicine bottle was hidden. Hiroshi hides nothing from his identical child. The fox showed his son where the medicine bottle was kept and told him to protect that precious item on his behalf. When the time comes, if the fox demon cannot take it himself, Hyan and Haruka will take over this task for the fox demon. Listening to his father's advice, the little fox was able to hide the worry in his eyes. He secretly looked at his father again. Obviously his father is very healthy, but why did he say such things as his last words? Hyan pulled his father's hair, trying to ask questions with sad, worried eyes. The fox smiled when he saw his stubborn child fall asleep again because he did not have the strength to cope with the anesthetic herbs. The evil eye cannot see through the barrier in the dark forest. Continuous waves of light dazzled the fire demon's eyes. The third eye slowly closed, letting Hiroshi out of sight. Kaoru greeted her visitor with a forced smile. This hasty reincarnation did not give her much spiritual power. Lifetime is also shorter. In the middle of the vast forest, the rat was like a ghost wearing a green kimono, her long black hair covering her thin, prominent cheekbones. The smooth white skin had become pale, and the warmth on the demon rat's body was almost gone. I did as you told me. Now, you have to tell me who my upcoming opponent is. Kaoru covered her mouth with her hand, coughed softly, then quickly hid the blood on her hand behind her back. Eyes filled with worry watched, hands that still smelled of blood clutched the soft green fabric. Hiroshi patiently probed and waited, ignoring the silent pleas in the rat demon's eyes. I know you and everyone else are always ready to fight, but this person is really strong and is someone you should not confront. Don't give me innocuous words. I took the risk to come here, at least give me valuable information. Did you find me because you care about me or just because of the information I know? Kaoru suddenly asked and was almost about to cry when he saw the cold, determined look in the fox's eyes. For information, Hiroshi hesitated and then fell silent. Reason forces the fox to hide the remaining half of his true words. Kaoru nodded slightly, pursed her lips and smiled desperately. For information. Hiroshi came to her because of the information she had. And she left her homeland and her life to come here to save him. Yet what she received in return were just lies. She turned her back to the demon fox and asserted, this information is related to my life. So, I have to live until the day you die. Sorry for being so selfish. The rat walked quietly. The demon fox quickly chased after her, grabbed her hand but was pushed down. She turned her head, forced a smile, and begged. Don't use those false feelings to deceive me. I'm so afraid that I will believe it's real and never be able to throw away the memories we had. Goodbye, my first and only love. Hiroshi remained silent, standing still, watching the figure of a girl in a blue kimono slowly sink into the white mist before his eyes. A drop of bright red blood fell from the tightly clenched hand of the fox demon. The bloody hand punched the ground hard. The power of hatred and anger awakens plants that have been fossilized for thousands of years, causing them to break out of the ground, blocking every corner. But Kaoru's figure in front kept getting smaller and then disappeared into the fog. Only the fox remained alone in the deserted forest. Have I lived too long? I've lived too long to see a stranger like you taking care of every meal for me, drinking wine with me, and confiding in me. And the son I spent nearly half of my life raising has disappeared and disappeared. As she spoke, Anko repeatedly banged her hands on the table and laughed helplessly. In her drunken state, Ms. Anko no longer felt pain. Because physical pain is not enough to ease the pain in her heart. And just like that, all pent-up emotions broke out into tears. The young woman covered her face and waved her hand, signaled Kaoru to go somewhere else. Anko did not want the sincere stranger to look at her with pitying eyes. Kaoru held back a sigh, collected the dishes on the table and quietly left. Anko put her head on the table, sobbing. Many years ago, just because she wanted to forget the pain of her broken family, Anko went to a bar and drank alone until getting drunk. When she woke up, she found herself lying in bed with a strange man. He said he would take responsibility and live with Anko for the rest of his life. However, when Higa was 7 years old, the ungrateful man left to have temporary fun outside and never returned. Anko knew her son was not at fault. But his eyes were exactly like the eyes of the person who betrayed her. Every time Higa looked at her, the feeling of hatred forced her to vent her anger on her son. Her behavior was so cold and strange, and she always left him behind to pursue all-night drinking parties day after day. That's why, when growing up, Higa retaliated the way she used to. For 3 days, Anko hasn't seen a sign of her son coming home. Waiting too long makes she mentally tired. She drank again, got drunk, caught a cold, and lay unconscious in bed. If Kaoru hadn't come, she would probably be a cold corpse right now. Miss Anko, I cooked a bowl of porridge. Please eat a little and then went to sleep. Don't let your stomach go hungry. Kaoru lowered her voice and pleaded, then placed the bowl of porridge on the table. The fragrance mixed in the warm steam attracted Anko's rare attention. Out of respect for the stranger, Anko ate a few spoonfuls, then put her hands on her face and smiled and asked, "What are you being so nice to me for? What value does this house have for you? I don't expect too much from this world. I just want a place to live temporarily. As long as you allow me to continue staying here until your son returns, I will pay all living expenses. So, go out and buy a bottle of wine for me. It must be the sake in the Okane store in the Baika. It's about 10 kilometers from here. I can only drink sake there. Yes. Please excuse me." Waiting for Kaoru to leave her house, Anko stood up, took long steps into the yard, put her hands on her hips, and shouted, "You ungrateful son. If you have the guts to go home, come here. Let me find you. I'll kick you out of Japan." Aside from the sound of the wind and the concerned looks of a few passers-by, nothing special happened. Anko hugged her face and burst into tears. Apparently she heard her son chatting with someone outside the gate. Turns out it was just a drunken hallucination. Anko staggered into the house, gently shook the empty wine bottle on the table and threw it against the wall. The broken wine bottle was like a fragile hope that had just rekindled in her heart. The things she needed left her, and the things she didn't need remained inert before her eyes. But Anko doesn't need a bowl of porridge from strangers. All she needed was for Higa to return and have dinner with her. That wish will never come true. Higa was beside Chiharu's side day and night and ignores his girlfriend who always seems annoyed by her boyfriend's timeless ability to be a freeloader. "Why don't you come home? Aren't you bored following me all day? I plan to open a noodle shop right next to your Shiratori eatery, so I'll learn cooking secrets here." Higa replied with a cocky smile. "In the future, we live together. Even if you starve me or kick me out of this house, I will still have a noodle shop to survive the day. Don't worry too much. Chiharu is so difficult on the outside, but her heart loves you so much. If she didn't love you, she would have kicked you out the day you visited my eatery." Chiharu's father happily explained and pulled his future son-in-law down to the kitchen. "Follow me, I'll teach you how to cook delicious food at this eatery. Besides, don't follow my child so closely, give her some private space, so she can easily accept your presence." "Yes, you're right. I will learn everything." The happy scene and conversation between father and boyfriend were both witnessed by Chiharu. Standing at the top of the first floor stairs, Chiharu could see a corner of the kitchen and Higa's busy back. The sight of a boy who only knew how to fight had to struggle with rice flour, learn how to make noodles, and cut vegetables made Chiharu laugh. At first, he boldly said he wanted to compete with Shiratori Eatery, but now he's gasping for breath with misshapen vegetables and half-wet, half-dry dough. She didn't know how long it will take for Higa to catch up with the current owner's level. As if he felt his girlfriend was looking at him, the former Death Realm detective deliberately raised his white face because of the powder for his girlfriend to see and then grinned. To protect Chiharu and change the group's future, sacrificing a little time and losing his image was worth it. Everyone laughed at the weekend meeting when they heard Higa talk about his journey of learning to cook and being tortured by his own cooking. As the only one out of step with the joy of his friends, Hiroshi was quiet as if he was pursuing very personal and distant plans. There was a chilling silence in his emerald eyes. Silence quickly covered the large room. Dango sat on the window, looking towards the old forest. A few days ago, the barrier there was still very strong. In just one night, everything disappeared as if it had never existed. Now encountering a different attitude from his teammates, Dango secretly guessed where the sadness in the fox's heart came from. "Hiroshi, news." Dango proactively opened his mouth, breaking the terrifying stagnant atmosphere. "What do you mean?" "Information about upcoming opponents. He is a very strong person from another world. That place is not the demon world. Human world or dead world but the same hometown as Kaoru. Did she say that? Kaoru is dead. I guess so based on the investigation results at Dimension Road. Hiroshi answered and then suddenly fell silent because of a sharp pain in the left side of his chest. In Baika town, Kaoru crouched behind an old wall, trying to suppress her cough but to no avail. Blood and dry sounds escaped from the rat's mouth and disappeared like smoke. The miserable appearance of the rat demon happened to fall into the sights of the monsters nearby. They advanced, blocking the path in front of them. The rat slowly retreated, her eyes never leaving those who had just arrived. As soon as her heel retreated a little further, she stopped. There is no way back behind. Kaoru hid her hand full of sharp claws behind her back, still looking at the low-level demons. Remember, the spiritual power of the last resurrection was enough to revive 4 people. If that spiritual energy is depleted, more than 2 people will die. The instructions of the guardian of the space regions echoed in her ears. Kaoru hesitated for a moment then withdrew her weapon. The bad guys immediately rushed forward, surrounding all 4 sides. Kaoru grabbed the bottle of wine she had just bought and hit the nearest guy on the head. He angrily rushed forward, snatched the broken wine bottle and threw it away. As soon as the big rough hand touched the shirt of the rat, it was cut off. Blood continuously poured down from the severed body part. The villain looked at the sharp claws on Kaoru's hand and then roared, swinging his bleeding arm into his opponent's face. A few streaks of fresh blood shot into Kaoru's eyes, making it impossible for Kaoru to see her surroundings clearly. She only felt her opponent's demonic aura, savage laughter and painful screams. It all happened so fast. When her eyesight was restored, the rat saw a strange man standing in front of her, smiling at her. The gentle smile was very similar to the smile Shin had given her the day before. These people are not worth your concern. Let's go. The strange boy spoke up. Kaoru was bewildered for a moment and then was shocked to see Shin's soul gradually appear next to the person who had just saved her. I borrowed this boy's body to save you. Either way, he's dead, so his soul won't be affected much. Don't worry, but if you do that, you won't be able to be human anymore. My responsibility is to protect you. Shin looked up at the reincarnation door in the gradually shrinking sky and forced a smile to admit. Without you by my side in Afterworld, what does it mean for me to be human? The door of reincarnation closed, turned into a pale purple star, flashed and disappeared. Kaoru and Shin left the deserted alley without knowing that above, there was a Shinigami watching them. Eyes filled with sadness recorded every action of the fateless lovers and silently sent it to Akiko. As the person responsible for monitoring Shin to find Kaoru's whereabouts, the anonymous guide suddenly softened at what she saw. They've always been apart before or after, so it's better to let them be together for another minute or so. The happy meeting at Niran Temple was interrupted when another Shinigami arrived to announce that Kaoru had been found. The news came at the wrong time, causing Akiko to shyly look at Hiroshi. The demon fox still maintained his usual calm attitude and agreed to go with his teammates to capture criminals wanted by the dead. A bad premonition forced the couple to stop at an empty lot with few passers-by. Kaoru gently closed her eyes and sighed. Shin appeared behind the dusty wind. They sat next to each other in silence for a long time and didn't care that the people of the dead were right behind them, just a street away. Dead world is hunting you. Shin spoke up, dissatisfaction and anger clearly showing in his eyes. Can't everything you do in exchange for some freedom for you? Don't pay attention anymore. They can't catch me before it's all over. Don't be reckless anymore. The team of former Death Realm detectives is no match for him. Being alone is like rushing to your death. I didn't say I would confront that person directly. I came here to rewrite a different ending for them and me. They are part of my life. Until now, that has never changed. I owe them a lot. A little sacrifice is nothing. Leaving your homeland and your life to say it's nothing. Don't deceive yourself anymore. Today, if I hadn't come in time, you would have fallen prey to low-level monsters. Without me in the future, who will protect you? The future you said there were only 3 days left. When I finish writing the final ending, I will return to that place. Honestly, I don't want to go back anymore. In a land of cannibals and people trampling on each other to survive, I am always insecure and scared because I don't know what tomorrow will bring. Everywhere I am the weak one. It's better to be a useful weak person than a soulless corpse that only bows its head and cries every night. That is enough. I will become the spiritual energy you consumed in the last battle. That's not what I meant. I never expected that. Just let me become a part of you. At least, I will be able to protect you again even though I no longer exist in this world. Shin placed his hand on Kaoru's shoulder and slowly closed his eyes. As the demon rat's tears fell from her pale face, the image of the man from the Warring States period gradually faded. The former detectives appeared at that heartbreaking moment and became reluctant witnesses to the separation without an appointment to meet again. No matter how pitiful she is still a criminal of the dead. Akiko reluctantly reminded her teammates. Let's take her away. They looked at Hiroshi shyly. The fox neither agreed nor objected. No one can guess what that boy is thinking. Just know that when they took another step, the fox still stood still and hid all emotions in his eyes. As soon as Akiko approached Kaoru, the sound of a motorcycle engine ripped through the air. Someone rushed into the field like an arrow being shot and robbed someone right in front of the group of former detectives. Dango chased after him and put his sword on the driver's neck, forcing the car to stop immediately. As soon as the motorbike stopped, the rest of the people followed. The driver took off his helmet and looked at Higa's group with puzzled eyes. What do you want? Where is the person you captured? There's only me in this motorbike. The driver confirmed. It's true, I was speeding a bit, but you guys aren't traffic police, so why arrest me? I saw you run onto the field with my own eyes. Higa quickly accused. If it's not you, then who will? You people lined up and took up all the roads. If we don't turn onto the grass field, should we let the car pass over your heads? You talk like I want to cause trouble. Want to fight? You think I'm afraid of you? Higa, stop arguing. Akiko quickly interrupted the argument. Something happened. Hiroshi and Kaoru had gone.